Hey everyone, welcome to the speed builds of this tiny home. This is a limited pack build, mostly was using Dine Out, Tiny Living and Eco Lifestyle. And I built this one in Newcrest, just because it felt right. So I was trying to make sort of the shape a little bit interesting, kind of blended into the houses that are out in the world. And then this is kind of a bit of a cheat so that you can get a room without actually the room counting towards your tile count. So because I felt like that was okay because I was just using it as a little bit of a chimney just to kind of make the roof line a little bit more interesting. And then we're roofing it now. And again, because it's a tiny, there's not a lot to roof, so I just kept it really simple, just kind of had that angled roof. And I think I didn't end up using the solar panels. Now I'm just trying to work out color wise what I'm going to do with everything. I think I end up changing that front door so don't get too attached to it. Yeah, so originally I was kind of going to go for more warm colors, like a lot of oranges and warm woods, but I think we end up going quite green. Um, and that was just because I wasn't 100% sure what to do with that little roof section there. So instead of a platform, I've just put like a tiny little fence on it. I thought it looked cute. Now I'm just figuring out what I'm going to be doing sort of with the chimney. I know sorry, I knew that I wanted to use brick, but it was hard to find sort of the right shade. There's a lot of very red bricks. Now, I kind of wanted something that sort of echoed more of that orange in the roof. So I tried this one. I think that was from Eco Lifestyle. I don't end up using it there, but I end up using it elsewhere. But yeah, I end up using a brick from Dine Out, I believe. And then now is where I kind of experiment a little bit with the different colors and end up going with the bright green, which I love that green so much. I just think it looks so nice, but then I did have to swap out the front door and everything because it did not go with that. But we'll be finished with the outside soon and we'll jump in pretty shortly. But as you can see, I'm just trying to kind of get a bit of interest. There's not a lot to work with, so I'm trying not to use too many things while also keeping it, not just one sort of wallpaper for the entire house. Mostly we got that little extra bit on the side that's for the bathroom, so that's what I've used, just that vertical one from Eco Lifestyle. Now we're swapping out our front door. Originally I was going to go sort of more black accents, sort of real black and white, and I think we end up keeping it black accents everywhere once we add in sort of the windows. I think because we're keeping it sort of with that starter home budget, we can't go too fancy with a couple of things, but I tried to make it because it's right there on the water. I wanted to sort of, if it was real life, you'd want the view and your windows set up to look out on that, which is why I've gone for those sort of full length glass there and just one around the side. I don't think I end up putting any windows in the bathroom, which is maybe not the best setup. But I think you can get away with it because it's just a 3-tile bathroom. If it was bigger, you would definitely want a window in there, I think. Then we're just using a couple of different floor patterns, just again, to try and create sort of additional spaces, delineate the different sections. It is just one big room. So we're trying to make it a little bit more interesting. And then I kind of experimented with a whole lot of things on the outside, and I don't think we end up using any of them. I probably could have cut all that out of the speed build, but oh well, you can look at it. We end up using just a couple of like very small things like the window box here. And I think that's about all we really do on the outside until we do the proper landscaping. Again, because it's a tiny home, there's not a lot of wall space to do a lot with, and we've got a few windows that sort of take up a fair amount of space. So I wasn't too worried. Annoyingly, you can't pull the column all the way up to the roof. So it's not 100% ideal. It still kind of looks a little bit odd, but if you just ignore that part, it looks fine. then just chucking in some basic lights so we can see what on earth we're doing. Then decorating the bathroom. It was at this point that I realized I didn't have any of the packs that have just the shower without the enclosure that you can walk through. So we end up just having the shower and the toilet in the bathroom, and the sink. You have to use the kitchen sink as the bathroom sink as well, which is perhaps not the most hygienic solution, but it was the only solution that I could do without sort of you would have to you put on move objects and move everything really far back into the wall in the hopes of doing it, and I'm not even sure it would still work. So I've just left no sink in the bathroom, and you just have to use the kitchen sink. Again, continuing with the black accents, we've used a slightly more expensive countertop in for my game anyway, for the sim that owns this house. She's an aspiring chef. She wants to own a restaurant, so I end up using a full size oven again because I don't have any packs that have just the cooktop, which is what I was really hoping for. But we end up using a full size oven in there a bit later. So I end up using the Murphy bed from Tiny Living, I'm pretty sure, with the couch so that we can then afford to put like because there's so little space in a tiny home, and this is the 32 tile one, so it's the smallest tier, and I really really wanted to keep it because at this tier you just get so many more perks. Like it's so overpowered living in a tiny home if you're playing sort of without any sort of cheats really. So I really wanted to keep it at that 32, and because it was a starter home I wanted to keep it pretty cheap, but some of the furniture ends up being a little bit more expensive, like that combination lounge bed from Tiny Living, but I think you can get away with it. Then we're just chucking in a little desk area with a really cheap computer again, because like I said, for my sim that's going to be living in this one, she wants to own a restaurant, so she's not doing too much at home. She's going to be really busy. Again, used a lot of Tiny Living furniture. I mean, if you're building a tiny home, you kind of have to. There's just no other way. I had to get rid of the full size table so that I could fit in the full size oven and stove. We ended up putting just a tiny little corner table in, which works fine because it's just the one sim living here. But there are two chairs, so if you did have a couple, you could still manage to fit them both in. There's not a lot to say about this one because it is just so small. I tried to fit everything that you could possibly need in there. So you've got, all the kitchen stuff. You've only got a half-size fridge, but it still works. You've got the TV for entertainment. You have, I don't know if I end up giving a computer or not, or if I just put the desk there. But then now I'm just trying to work out if I can fit anything else for skill building in. And I think, yeah, I end up going with just the easel because, like I said, with the tiny home, you get so many benefits for skill building that it's definitely worth fitting as many extra skill building items in as you can. Now I'm just trying to make the walls a little bit more interesting. I think I end up putting them, I created this weird lattice thing near the table. I probably could have not done that and saved some money, but I did it anyway. It looks cool, I think. And then I think I end up chucking in a small dresser in the gap there, just so that you've got that for gameplay options as well. And then right now we're just going through and trying to fit in a bit of clutter, a bit of decorative items, just so that it looks a little more lived in. It looks a little bit more like a real house rather than just like a strange half kitchen, half bedroom thing that someone's just created. I end up using the dresser from Tiny Living. I think I add a bit of clutter that I then have to delete so that I can get the money back so that I can put stuff outside. So I think there's a couple of things that I put that you'll see me come back and delete later. But that's okay because I really wanted to stick to that starter home budget, especially with a tiny home. I think it's the perfect starter home. Again, you build up your skills so quickly. I think you build up friendships quicker. Like it's so useful to be living in a tiny home. It's just, I did put a computer in. There you go. Even better. I love that radio. I think it's from the Cozy Kitch Kit. I want to use that in like every single build. I love the items in that kit. Um, Completely forgot I was saying. Still going, because there's so little space in here. A lot of it is just decorating and fitting things where you can. I know for a fact, I then go and delete those two vases that I've just put on top of the TV thing. Again, they're from the Cozy Kitch kit. If I could have kept them, I would, but I needed like 50 more simoleons, so I had to delete them. I think we end up adding just a rug down. I think might even downsize this one so that it fits in the space a little bit better. I could have left it big, but I thought it looked a bit better just downsize it, just to sort of delineate the different spaces a little bit more. So you've really got like the kitchen area, you've got the lounge bed area, and then you have the sort of a skill building section in the other corner. Probably in hindsight, if I'd had a couple more packs, I think the kitchen would have turned out a bit better. Like it's fine as it is, but I think if you had like even like the Dream Home Decorator pack, I believe has just like the stovetop and the oven you can do separately in a counter. That would have been ideal if I could have put them in. But it's not the end of the world. We did our best with what the packs we had. Again, like I said, because this sim is an aspiring chef, that's why I didn't feel like it was such a bad thing to have that full size oven, even if it does look a little bit like it's just sort of sitting there in the middle of nowhere. In hindsight, maybe I should have put it where I've got it up against like this wall near the cookbook, but I didn't want them to have to wander too far away to actually prepare things, although they do have to go back and forth from that counter to the oven anyway. So in hindsight, yeah, I probably should have moved that, but oh well, we'll just live with it. And now just adding, I think, the final touches, and I'm not 100% sure. I think I stick with this wall color, but I may change it. I honestly can't remember, but it's just kind of that beautiful soft green. I really wanted to, originally there was going to be a lot more green in and outside, but then I painted the whole thing like a bright green. So I didn't want to go too overpowering and too kind of kitsch with it, I guess, and make like the entire house like insanely green. As you can see, the sim has a green shirt, so her favorite color is green, which is why I did that. Now we're just getting onto the landscaping. And it's at this point that I realize if I want to keep it a starter home, I'm going to have to use a lot of debug items for the landscaping because I only have 600 simoleons left. So that's why I've just popped in those two little sheets to show live edit objects and show hidden objects. And now we're just going to sort of dig through the debug, hiding the bin away behind that little divider just so that it's not sitting right there next to our mailbox. Again, it's not necessary in The Sims. It doesn't matter. I just think it looks nice. And then I think we end up fencing like 2/3 of the backyard. We can't afford to fence all of it, and we can't afford a gate. So it looks a little bit unfinished right now, but once we get the landscaping in, it'll blend in a little bit better. Which I think it was at this point that I was trying to see if I could get the shorter fence, but then I couldn't find it for whatever reason. So we've left it sort of that really tall fence, which probably if you needed a bit of extra money, it would be an easy swap to have the medium height fence rather than the really tall one. Now I'm just adding, we're trying to figure out, I was trying to match the pavers on the footpath that you can see there in the world, but couldn't quite figure it out. So we've just used terrain paint to create a little path to that front door there, and just going around and adding a bit of dirt terrain paint around the edge of the house just so it looks like it's settled in and it looks like it's been there a little while rather than we just popped it down. And now is when I'm going through and deleting a fair bit of our clutter that we had inside so that I could add a couple of pots outside so that you can grow things. In hindsight, maybe I could have deleted some other things. Like I probably could have gotten rid of the lattice thing that I created next to the computer, or the curtains, which are not necessary in The Sims, but the joys of doing this kind of thing is that if you end up downloading this, it's easy swaps, easy fixes. You can add things in, you can take things out, and it's not going to affect the function of the house at all. It's purely aesthetic. So I think it still turned out quite nice. It's just not as cluttered and sort of homey inside as it might have been. But I don't do a lot of starter home builds, so I struggle a lot to keep to a budget. So this is a fun challenge for me. Just trying to make sure that it's still everything functions, everything looks nice, and that we're still spending only just around that sort of 20,000, 25,000 simoleon mark. As you can see, I've got like $2 left. So I'm using a lot of debug landscaping, trying to blend it in a bit sort of with the landscape. Because we're in Newcrest, there's not a lot of, there's no actual houses that you can live in that have been built by the Sims team. So you kind of, there's a lot of free reign, I feel like, in Newcrest, which is why I built this one. But there are a couple sort of in the background, the shells of houses. So I tried to sort of keep the style a little bit, which is why we've got that's almost like I kind of think of it like a bay window, but it's the front of the house. There's a lot of kind of that style in the shells of the houses. So that's why I've gone with that. And now we're just kind of doing a bit of landscaping, trying to just make it look a bit established, make it look lush. As you can see in the background, there's a lot of ground cover around the trees, so trying to match it in with those as well. And I've popped in a little debug car because there aren't any real cars, but if you had a car, you would have to park it right there because there aren't any, because there's no cars in The Sims. They don't have driveways, they don't have anything like that. But I felt like that was a good gap. As you can see in the front, there's like those two little I don't know, like tree cages or bins or whatever they are. So that's why I've kind of made that, if you wanted, you could sort of say that that was like a bit of a driveway, and just popping that shade sail section from Eco Lifestyle over it, kind of like a makeshift carport, but a very temporary one. And then just trying to go through and find just a couple little extra items of clutter. I was trying to find, things to make it look like someone had been living here and had sort of stuff set up around the place. I don't think I end up putting anything in extra other than the plants, just kind of going around and adding things in. I use mostly just the same style, like a lot of that lavender, a lot of the bushes, just to try and make it look unified but not perfectly manicured. And then just again adding a little bit of terrain paint to make it seem like it's been there a little while. I don't even remember what I end up doing. It might just be dirt under the car, honestly. Because if anyone that has parked their car in their front yard, or their backyard, I should say, for a while, it kills your grass completely. You will have a lovely car-shaped dead patch. So that is what happened there. And then, then I delete the little fence that I had on the little roof section that I couldn't do, so that I can add some purely decorative roof items. Just because. In hindsight, what I should have done with that money was add like a solar panel or something. I only really used aesthetic items from Eco Lifestyle instead of anything that had real gameplay function. So we'll have a look at it in the world now. I built it on this little lot in Newcrest. Okay, so here we are. As I said, we've got like the little car using kind of, in my head, like delineating in real life, this would be where you would have a driveway. We've just got a couple of little debug items just to make it look a little bit nicer. Our bin tucked away there. We've got a nice tree. We've got a fence. We've got, again, just some pots so that we can grow some things, work on our gardening skill. And if we come inside, straight away we've got like a little section. We've got a little mirror. We've got our letters, our shopping bags, so we can take them when we go grocery shopping. Our little desk area, the dresser with a couple of knickknacks, and our easel so that we can work on our painting skill. And on this side, ignore the plants coming through. We have a little table with 2 chairs, and then we've got that kitchen with the full-size stove, oven, a little microwave, a little half-size fridge, our sink that is shared with the bathroom because I couldn't fit one in here. Just got the toilet, the shower, and then over here we've got our entertainment unit and our Murphy bed. So during the day we can have it as a lounge, or we can put it down and have a bed at night. And just a couple, again, just some little things here and there for clutter to make it look nice. Because it's a tiny home, there's not a lot to look at. But again, the advantage of the tiny home, as you can see here, because it's a tier 1, lower bills, our relationship gains are doubled, plants grow twice as fast, you know, baths last twice as long, our skills increase at double, and everything's super comfortable. So if you can fit everything into that 32 tiles, it is so worth it just for gameplay. It honestly feels like you're cheating, and you're not. But yeah, here we are. I think it turned out really nice. Not perfect. Again, like I said, if I'd thought about it, as you can see, we still got a little bit of money. I would have put in like a solar panel or something like that. Maybe we would have had to save a little bit more money elsewhere, but pop them on the roof or something, just so we didn't have just only things that look nice from Eco Lifestyle, but we could have actually used them. But there we go. So I'll share this onto the gallery. I've just called it Green Micro Home because it is green in color, if not in gameplay. Just uses a couple of different packs and a few kits, but that's really just clutter. So if you don't have them, it will still work perfectly fine. And we end up costing just over 18 grand. So it's absolutely perfect for a starter home. And like I said, using a tiny home for a starter home it's like cheating. It's so useful. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please let me know if you think there's anything I could have improved, or things maybe you would have done a little bit differently. I'm really open to suggestions because, like I said, in my previous one, I haven't done too many of these, so I'm always looking to find ways that I can improve. Thanks. Bye.